Ladies and gentlemen, stop letting people sell you fairy tales wrapped in fake smiles and overnight success stories. Life is not easy. Life is fucking hard. And the moment you accept that truth, you stop breaking under pressure and start building strength. Life will knock the breath out of you when you thought you were finally standing steady. It will hit you in seasons you prayed your way out of, and it will hit you again just to see if you still believe. This road was never designed to be comfortable. It was designed to transform you. Some of you are tired because you thought obedience would exempt you from struggle. You thought faith meant smooth roads. But hear this, resistance is not rejection. It is refinement. Pressure is not punishment, it is preparation. Every tear you cried alone, every night you questioned yourself, every moment you felt forgotten, that was not wasted pain. That was training, that was strength being built underground where nobody could see it yet. You are still standing not because it was easy, but because something inside you refused to quit. And that stubborn survival instinct, that's not weakness. That's destiny refusing to die. Life was never promised to be easy, yet so many of us grow up quietly believing that if we do the right things, follow the right path, and try our best to be good people, life will eventually smooth itself out. We expect that obedience will cancel out hardship. Patience will be rewarded with comfort, and that faith will somehow act as a shield against pain. But sooner or later, reality interrupts that belief, does not consult our expectations before it challenges us. It does not ask whether we are ready before it tests us. And in that moment, when the weight of difficulty settles on our shoulders, we are forced to confront a hard truth. Life was never promised to be easy. From the very beginning, struggle has been woven into the human experience. Growth has always required resistance. Nothing strong is formed without pressure. Nothing meaningful is built without effort. Yet when hardship arrives, we often feel betrayed, as if something has gone wrong. We ask, why is this happening to me? When a more honest question might be, why did I believe it wouldn't? Difficulty is not a sign that you are failing. It is a sign that you are living in a world that shapes people through endurance, not ease. Life has a way of dismantling illusions. It strips away the idea that success is linear, that progress moves in a straight line, or that effort always leads immediately to reward. Sometimes you can do everything right and still lose. You can be faithful, disciplined, and committed and still find yourself in a season of waiting, pain, or confusion. These moments are not evidence that your work was meaningless. They are reminders that life operates on a deeper rhythm, values depth over speed, and strength over comfort. Hardship also has a way of revealing who we are beneath the surface. When things are easy, anyone can smile, believe, and remain hopeful. But when pressure intensifies, when plans collapse and support disappears, the truth comes forward. Life does not expose us to shame us, it exposes us to shape us. In struggle, we discover whether our confidence was rooted in circumstance or in character. We learn whether our faith was based on outcomes or on conviction. Difficulty becomes the mirror that shows us what we are truly made of. Many people misunderstand pain, assuming it exists only to harm or punish. But pain, when faced honestly, often becomes a teacher. It teaches patience to those who are impulsive. It teaches humility to those who rely too heavily on themselves. Teaches empathy to those who have never suffered. Pain slows us down long enough to make us pay attention. It forces reflection. It demands growth. No one seeks it willingly. Pain has a way of refining us in ways comfort never could. Life also teaches us that strength is not loud. Real strength is often built quietly in unseen moments of endurance. It is formed in late nights when no one is watching, in silent decisions to keep going, when quitting would be easier, and in private battles that never make it into public conversation. These are the moments that shape resilience. The world may celebrate victories, but life builds champions in the unseen grind between them. Another difficult truth is that life will take things from us. It will remove people we thought would always stay, opportunities we believed were guaranteed, and versions of ourselves we thought we would never outgrow. Loss is one of life's harshest teachers, yet it often makes room for deeper wisdom. Through loss, we learn what truly matters. We learn what we can survive. We learn that our identity cannot be permanently tied to what can be taken away. What remains after loss is often the most authentic version of who we are. Life being hard does not mean it is cruel or meaningless. Difficulty does not cancel purpose. It clarifies it. Many people discover their calling not in moments of success, but in seasons of struggle. What once felt like an obstacle becomes the very path that leads them toward impact, empathy, and understanding. Hardship carves depth into a person's character. It builds a foundation strong enough to carry responsibility, influence, and growth when the time comes. It is also important to understand that endurance does not mean pretending everything is fine. Strength is not denial. Acknowledging that life is difficult is not weakness, it is honesty. There is power in naming the struggle without surrendering to it. There is courage in admitting exhaustion while still choosing to move forward. Life respects those who face reality without losing hope, who accept the weight of hardship without allowing it to crush their spirit. Over time, those who endure begin to change. They become less reactive and more grounded. They learn to move with wisdom rather than urgency. They stop chasing quick relief and start building lasting resilience. Life's difficulties mature them. They become people who can stand in uncertainty without falling apart, who can face storms without losing direction. This is the quiet reward of perseverance. Ease, but inner stability. Life was never promised to be easy, but it was designed to be meaningful. Meaning is rarely found in comfort. It is found in growth, in depth, and in the ability to rise after falling. Every challenge carries the potential to strengthen your resolve, sharpen your vision, deepen your understanding of yourself and the world around you. When you look back one day, you may realize that the hardest seasons were the ones that shaped you most. So when life feels heavy, remember that difficulty is not evidence that you are on the wrong path. It may be proof that you are being shaped for something greater than comfort. You are not weak because the road is hard. You are becoming stronger because you are still walking it. Life was never promised to be easy. You were built to endure it, and in that endurance you find your power. Hard seasons are not punishment, but preparation, even though they often feel like the opposite when you are living through them. When life becomes heavy, when progress slows, when everything you touch seems to require more effort than it should, it is easy to assume that you have done something wrong. Many people interpret difficulty as a sign of failure or disfavor, as if struggle only visits those who have missed their way. Hardship is not a verdict on your worth. It is a process that shapes you for what lies ahead. Preparation rarely looks glamorous. It is usually uncomfortable, repetitive, and lonely. No one applauds the work happening beneath the surface. Yet every meaningful role, every lasting success, every deep transformation requires a season where strength is developed quietly. Hard seasons are the training ground where endurance is built, perspective is sharpened, and character is formed. They teach lessons that ease never could. One of the reasons hard seasons feel so personal is because they strip away what we rely on. When resources are limited, support is inconsistent, outcomes are uncertain, we are forced to confront ourselves honestly. We learn how we respond when control is taken away. We discover whether our confidence depends on results or on inner conviction. This is not punishment, it is refinement. Removes what is unnecessary so that what is essential can grow stronger. Hard seasons also teach patience in a world addicted to speed. They slow us down when we are tempted to rush ahead unprepared. Waiting can feel like denial, but often it is protection. What we desire may be real. The timing may not be right. Without preparation, success can become a burden instead of a blessing. Hard seasons create the capacity to carry what we have been asking for. They expand our ability to manage responsibility, pressure, visibility without losing ourselves. Another purpose of difficult seasons is to build resilience. Strength is not formed in moments of comfort. It is forged through resistance. Every challenge you face and survive adds another layer of confidence that cannot be taught or borrowed. You learn that you can endure more than you thought. You develop the ability to adapt, to recover, and to keep moving even when the path is unclear. This resilience becomes part of who you are long after the season has passed. Hard seasons also refine perspective. They teach us to distinguish between what is urgent and what is important. When everything is taken away, clarity emerges. We stop chasing approval and start valuing peace. We stop seeking validation and start cultivating purpose. Difficulty has a way of clearing distractions, allowing us to focus on what truly matters. What once seemed essential may no longer hold the same weight, while things we overlooked become deeply valuable. There is also a humbling aspect to preparation. Hard seasons remind us that we are not self-sufficient. They teach us to ask for help, to lean on wisdom, to remain teachable. Pride often dissolves in difficulty, making room for growth. This humility is not weakness, it is strength in its most grounded form. Prepared person is not one who knows everything, but one who remains open to learning. Many people emerge from hard seasons with a deeper sense of compassion. Pain has a way of softening the heart toward others who are struggling. When you have walked through difficulty yourself, you no longer judge pain from a distance. You recognize it. You understand it. This empathy becomes a powerful tool, allowing you to connect, lead, and serve with authenticity. Preparation is not only about personal strength, it is also about developing the capacity to impact others meaningfully. Hard seasons often feel like delays, but they are more accurately described as alignment. They bring you in a closer alignment with who you are becoming. Sometimes the person you were at the start of your journey is not equipped to handle where you are going. Preparation requires transformation. Transformation requires pressure. The delay is not denial, it is development. Feels like being held back may actually be positioning you for longevity rather than temporary success. It is important to remember that preparation does not mean the absence of pain. Growth often hurts. Letting go of old identities, unhealthy patterns, familiar comforts can be painful. But pain with purpose is different from suffering without direction. Hard seasons have intent. They shape your thinking, discipline your habits, and strengthen your resolve. When you begin to see difficulty through this lens, you stop asking when it will end and start asking what it is teaching you. Preparation also builds faith in yourself and in life. Each challenge you overcome becomes evidence that you are capable of more than you once believed. Confidence grows not from perfect conditions, but from surviving imperfect ones. You learn to trust your ability to adapt, to recover, and to persevere. This kind of faith is stable because it is rooted in experience, not optimism alone. When you finally step out of a hard season, you often realize that you are not the same person who entered. Your voice may be quieter, but your presence is stronger. Your dreams may be more focused. They are also more grounded. You move with intention rather than urgency. You understand that preparation has given you depth, not just direction. Hard seasons are not punishment, but preparation, because they serve a purpose greater than the discomfort they cause. They shape you for responsibility, strengthen you for challenge, and deepen you for impact. Though you may not choose them, they choose you for growth. And one day, you may look back and see that the season you wanted to escape was the very season that prepared you to stand. Pressure reveals character, not comfort. May show us who we are when everything is going our way, but pressure exposes who we truly are when the ground beneath us shifts. When life is calm and predictable, it is easy to appear confident, patient, and faithful. Anyone can function well when conditions are favorable. When pressure enters, when expectations rise, resources shrink, time runs out, outcomes become uncertain. What lies beneath the surface begins to show itself. Pressure does not create character, it reveals what was already there. In moments of comfort, much of who we are remains untested. We can hide behind routines, distractions, and familiar patterns. We can postpone difficult decisions and avoid uncomfortable truths. Comfort allows us to delay growth. Pressure removes that luxury. It forces us to respond in real time, often without preparation or warning. In those moments, we discover whether our values are habits or merely ideas. What we believe in theory is tested in practice when pressure demands action. Pressure has a way of stripping away appearances. Titles, status, external success lose their power when stakes are high. What remains is integrity, discipline, and resilience. When pressure is applied, excuses fall apart and priorities are exposed. We see what matters most to us by how we act when we have little margin for error. Pressure shows us whether we are committed to our principles or attached only when they are convenient. One of the most uncomfortable truths about pressure is that it often reveals inconsistencies within us. We may claim patience, but pressure reveals impatience. We may claim courage, but pressure reveals fear. We may believe ourselves to be selfless, yet pressure exposes self-preservation. This exposure is not meant to shame us. It is meant to educate us. Without pressure, we might never see the gaps between who we think we are and who we actually are. Pressure also reveals the foundation upon which we have built our lives. When circumstances shake us, what we rely on becomes clear. Some people rely on external validation, and pressure exposes how fragile that support really is. Others rely on inner conviction, and pressure strengthens their resolve. The difference lies not in the intensity of the pressure, in the strength of the foundation beneath it. Comfort can mask a weak foundation, but pressure makes it visible. Another powerful role of pressure is that it reveals emotional maturity. When stress increases, our ability to regulate our responses is tested. Do we react impulsively, or do we respond thoughtfully? Do we blame others, or do we take responsibility? Do we retreat into silence, or do we communicate honestly? These patterns are not developed in the moment, they are revealed in the moment. Pressure brings to the surface the emotional habits we have been practicing all along. Pressure also reveals the quality of our relationships. In comfortable seasons, relationships can survive on convenience and shared enjoyment. Under pressure, however, depth is required. Some connections strengthen, becoming sources of support and understanding. Others fracture, revealing their fragility. Pressure clarifies who is aligned with your values and who was only present for the comfort. This clarity, though painful, is necessary for growth. There is also a spiritual and mental dimension to pressure. When pressure mounts, the narratives we tell ourselves become louder. Self-doubt, fear, and insecurity may rise, or resilience, faith, and determination may take their place. Pressure reveals what voices we have been feeding internally. It shows whether our inner dialogue builds us up, or breaks us down. This awareness becomes an invitation to reshape the way we think and speak about ourselves. Pressure does not discriminate. It visits everyone eventually. The difference lies in how we interpret it. Some see pressure as evidence of inadequacy, while others see it as an opportunity for growth. Those who understand pressure learn to pause and observe themselves within it. They recognize patterns, identify weaknesses, and make intentional changes. Pressure becomes feedback rather than condemnation. It is important to understand that pressure is not the enemy. Avoiding pressure may feel like self-protection, but it often limits development. Without pressure, potential remains dormant. Just as physical strength grows through resistance, inner strength grows through challenge. Pressure refines decision-making, sharpens focus, and deepens resolve. It teaches us to act with intention rather than impulse. Pressure also reveals endurance. It shows whether we can remain consistent when motivation fades. Comfort allows us to rely on feelings, but pressure requires discipline. It reveals whether we are committed to long-term growth or only short-term relief. Those who endure pressure without compromising their values develop a quiet confidence that cannot be shaken by circumstance. When pressure passes, and it always does in some form, we are left with the truth it revealed. We see ourselves more clearly, our strengths, our weaknesses, and our areas of growth. This clarity is a gift, even if it was earned through difficulty. It allows us to move forward with honesty rather than illusion. Pressure reveals character, comfort, because character is formed and proven in moments of resistance. Comfort may make life pleasant, but pressure makes life honest. It shows us who we are and who we are becoming. If we are willing to learn from it, pressure does not break us. It builds us into people of depth, integrity, and strength. Loss, pain, and isolation are tools for growth, though they rarely feel that way while we are experiencing them. When these realities enter our lives, they often arrive uninvited and unwelcome, bringing confusion, grief, and a sense of being undone. Our instinct is to resist them, to escape them as quickly as possible, or to interpret them as evidence that something has gone terribly wrong. Yet again and again, life proves that the very experiences we try hardest to avoid are often the ones that shape us most deeply. Loss has a unique way of rearranging the inner landscape of a person. when something or someone we valued is taken away. The absence creates a space that cannot be ignored. Loss forces us to confront impermanence, reminding us that nothing external is guaranteed to remain. This realization can be terrifying, but it is also grounding. It teaches us to loosen our grip on what we cannot control and to invest more intentionally in what truly matters. Through loss, we learn that identity cannot be fully anchored in people, possessions, or positions because these can change or disappear. What remains after loss is the core of who we are, and discovering that core is a powerful step toward growth. Pain, unlike loss, is not always tied to a single event. It can be physical, emotional, or psychological, lingering long after its cause has passed. Pain demands attention. It interrupts routines and challenges our assumptions about strength. Many people try to numb pain or rush past it, believing that acknowledgement equals weakness. Pain that is ignored does not disappear, it settles deeper. When pain is faced honestly, it becomes instructive. It teaches boundaries, self-awareness, compassion. It shows us where we have been wounded and invites us to heal rather than harden. Pain also has a way of refining perception. It sharpens our understanding of ourselves and others. When we have suffered, we become more sensitive to the struggles around us. We listen differently. We respond with more empathy. Pain breaks down the illusion that we are separate from one another's experiences. In this way, pain expands the heart. It deepens emotional intelligence and allows us to connect with others on a level that comfort never could. Isolation is perhaps the most misunderstood of these tools. Being alone, whether chosen or forced, often feels like abandonment. In isolation, noise of external validation fades, and we are left with our own thoughts, fears, and truths. This can be unsettling, especially in a world that constantly encourages distraction. Yet, isolation creates the space necessary for self-reflection. It removes the influence of other people's expectations and opinions, allowing us to hear our own voice more clearly. In isolation, we learn self-reliance, not in the sense of rejecting others, but in the sense of understanding ourselves. We discover what we believe when no one is watching, what we value when no one is affirming us, and what we are willing to work on when there is no applause. Isolation exposes internal wounds that were hidden by business and social noise. Though uncomfortable, this exposure is essential for healing and growth. When loss, pain, and isolation intersect, their combined impact can feel overwhelming. Yet together, they create a powerful environment for transformation. Loss removes what we depended on. Pain shows us what needs healing. Isolation gives us the space to process both. This process is rarely quick or linear. Growth unfolds slowly, often in silence, but the changes it produces are lasting. These experiences also teach humility. They remind us that strength does not mean invulnerability. True strength is the ability to remain open in the face of hardship. Loss teaches us to let go. Pain teaches us to feel. Isolation teaches us to listen. Each lesson requires surrender, and surrender is not defeat. It is the willingness to be shaped by what we cannot control. Another profound outcome of these tools is clarity. Loss clarifies priorities. Pain clarifies boundaries. Isolation clarifies identity. When external structures fall away, we are forced to decide what we will rebuild and what we will leave behind. We become more intentional about the people we allow into our lives, commitments we make, and the paths we pursue. Growth emerges not from replacing what was lost, but from choosing more wisely what comes next. These experiences also prepare us for deeper responsibility. Someone who has faced loss understands the weight of attachment. Someone who has endured pain understands the fragility of others. Someone who has walked through isolation understands the importance of presence. Growth through hardship equips us with wisdom that cannot be learned secondhand. It makes us more grounded, more compassionate, and more resilient. Over time, the intensity of loss, pain, and isolation softens. The sharp edges dull. What remains is not the suffering itself, but the insight gained through it. We may never be grateful for the hardship, but we can be grateful for who we became because of it. Growth does not erase the past, integrates it into a deeper understanding of life. Loss, pain, and isolation are tools for growth, not because they are good in themselves, because of what they produce when we allow them to shape us. They teach us to live with depth rather than denial, awareness rather than avoidance, and strength rather than fear. Through them, we learn that even in our most difficult moments, something within us is still growing, still adapting, still becoming stronger than before. Endurance builds strength that ease never can. Because true strength is not formed in moments of comfort, in seasons that demand persistence. Ease may make life pleasant, but it rarely changes us. When everything flows smoothly, there is little reason to grow, adapt, or deepen our resolve. Endurance, on the other hand, asks us to remain standing when conditions are difficult, uncertain, or exhausting. It shapes a kind of strength that cannot be borrowed, imitated, or rushed. Ease offers relief, but endurance offers transformation. When life is easy, we often rely on momentum rather than intention. We move forward because nothing is resisting us. Yet the moment resistance appears, momentum fades. Only endurance remains. Endurance is the decision to continue even when motivation disappears, when results are slow, and when the cost feels high. This decision, repeated over time, builds an inner strength that comfort could never produce. One of the greatest gifts of endurance is resilience. Each challenge endured becomes evidence that we can survive difficulty without losing ourselves. Resilience is not the absence of struggle. It is the ability to recover and adapt within it. Through endurance, we learn that setbacks are not endpoints but interruptions. We develop the capacity to absorb impact and keep moving forward. This kind of strength is quiet but powerful because it is rooted in experience rather than optimism. Endurance also builds discipline. Ease allows us to act only when we feel like it. Endurance requires consistency regardless of feeling. It teaches us to show up even when enthusiasm is gone and progress is invisible. Discipline formed through endurance becomes a stable force in our lives. It allows us to remain committed to our values and goals through changing circumstances. Over time, this discipline becomes a reliable source of confidence because it proves that we can depend on ourselves. Another strength forged by endurance is patience. In a world that rewards speed and instant results, patience is often misunderstood as weakness. Yet patience developed through endurance is not passive, it is intentional. It is the ability to remain focused while waiting, to continue preparing while progress is slow, and to trust the process without rushing the outcome. Ease never teaches patience because it rarely requires waiting. Endurance trains patience by making time an active part of growth. Endurance also deepens self-awareness. When we are pushed beyond comfort, we become more conscious of our limits, triggers, and coping mechanisms. We learn how we respond under stress, where we need to grow, and what truly motivates us. This awareness is invaluable. It allows us to strengthen weak areas, manage our energy more effectively. Wiser choices moving forward. Ease hides these insights. Endurance reveals them. There is also a mental strength that emerges through endurance. Prolonged challenge reshapes the way we think. We learn to manage negative thoughts, regulate emotional reactions, and maintain focus amid uncertainty. Endurance teaches us to separate discomfort from danger. Just because something feels difficult does not mean it is harmful. This distinction empowers us to face challenges without being overwhelmed by them. The mind becomes steadier, more adaptable, and more resilient. Endurance strengthens character as well. It tests integrity, humility, and perseverance. When outcomes are delayed and recognition is absent, endurance reveals whether we remain true to our principles. It challenges us to act with integrity even when shortcuts are tempting. Character strengthened through endurance is stable because it has been tested. It does not collapse under pressure or bend to convenience. Another powerful result of endurance is gratitude. Those who have endured difficulty often develop a deeper appreciation for simple things. Ease can breed entitlement, but endurance cultivates awareness. After walking through hardship, small moments of peace, connection, and progress carry greater meaning. This gratitude is not superficial, it is grounded in perspective. It reminds us that strength was earned, not assumed. Endurance also prepares us for responsibility. Ease may grant access, but endurance equips us to sustain what we receive. Without endurance, success can overwhelm rather than empower. Endurance builds the capacity to manage pressure, expectations, and challenges without losing balance. It ensures that when opportunities arise, we have the inner strength to carry them well. Perhaps the most profound strength endurance builds is confidence rooted in reality. This confidence is not based on flawless conditions or constant success. It is based on the knowledge that we have survived difficult before and can do so again. It is quiet, grounded, and unshakable. Ease can inflate confidence temporarily, but endurance anchors it deeply. Endurance builds strength that ease never can because it transforms who we are, not just what we experience. It shapes resilience, discipline, patience, and character. It teaches us to stand firm without needing everything to be comfortable. Though endurance is demanding, the strength it produces is lasting. When we look back, we may realize that the hardest seasons were the ones that made us capable of standing tall in any season that followed. Pain is often the birthplace of purpose, even though it rarely feels that way when we are living through it. Pain disrupts our plans, challenges our sense of control, and exposes our vulnerability. It arrives without warning and refuses to be ignored. Most of us spend our lives trying to avoid pain, believing that purpose is found in comfort, success, or stability. Yet time and experience reveal a different truth. Purpose is often uncovered not in moments of ease, but in the depths of struggle. Pain forces us to slow down and pay attention. When life is comfortable, we move quickly, often without reflection. We follow routines, pursue goals, measure progress by external markers. Pain interrupts this momentum. It demands that we stop and confront what is happening within us. In this pause, comfortable as it may be, clarity begins to form. Pain removes distractions and brings buried questions to the surface. It asks us to examine who we are, we value, and why we are moving in the direction we have chosen. One of the ways pain gives birth to purpose is by revealing what matters most. Loss, disappointment, or failure strips away superficial priorities. When something hurts deeply, it is often because it touched something meaningful. Pain exposes attachment, desire, and longing. By paying attention to what hurts, we gain insight into what we care about most. This awareness becomes the foundation for purpose. What we grieve points to what we value. What breaks us often reveals what we are meant to protect, build, serve. Pain also cultivates empathy, which is essential to purpose. Those who have suffered understand suffering in others. Pain removes distance and creates connection. It allows us to see beyond ourselves and recognize shared humanity. Many people discover their calling through their wounds, finding meaning in helping others navigate what they themselves have endured. In this way, pain becomes a bridge between personal experience and collective healing. Another powerful role of pain is that it reshapes identity. When pain challenges our assumptions about ourselves, it forces growth. We may lose roles, relationships, or dreams that once defined us. In the absence of these identifiers, we are compelled to redefine who we are. This process is painful, but it is also liberating. Purpose often emerges when we let go of who we thought we had to be and embrace who we are becoming. Pain also builds resilience, which supports long-term purpose. Purpose requires endurance, commitment, and the ability to navigate uncertainty. Pain strengthens these qualities. It teaches perseverance when progress is slow and faith when outcomes are unclear. Through pain, we learn that discomfort does not equal failure. This understanding allows us to pursue purpose with patience rather than urgency. There is also a refining aspect to pain. Challenges our motives and intentions. Pain asks whether we are driven by ego or by meaning, by recognition or by contribution. When the pursuit of success leads to pain, we are forced to reconsider our direction. Sometimes pain redirects us toward a purpose that aligns more closely with our values. What feels like a setback may actually be a correction, guiding us toward a more authentic path. Pain can also deepen wisdom. Experience gained through suffering is different from knowledge gained through instruction. Pain teaches lessons that cannot be learned secondhand. It provides insight into human behavior, emotional complexity, and inner strength. This wisdom becomes a resource that informs purpose, allowing us to act with understanding rather than assumption. Importantly, pain does not automatically produce purpose. It is our response to pain that determines its outcome. Avoided or denied pain can lead to bitterness and stagnation. Faced honestly, pain becomes transformative. Growth requires willingness to feel, reflect, and learn. Purpose emerges when we choose to engage pain with curiosity rather than resentment. Over time, pain often changes the questions we ask. Instead of asking, "Why did this happen to me?" we begin to ask, "What can this teach me?" And eventually, how can this serve something greater? These questions shift focus from personal loss to collective meaning. Purpose grows in this shift as we recognize that our experiences, even the painful ones, can contribute to something beyond ourselves. Pain also teaches humility and gratitude. It reminds us of our fragility and interdependence. Purpose rooted in humility is sustainable because it is not driven by ego. Gratitude born from pain is deep and authentic because it recognizes the value of life beyond comfort. These qualities anchor purpose in something stable and meaningful. When we look back, we often see that the moments that hurt the most were also the moments that changed us the most. Pain carves space for growth, awareness, and direction. Purpose that emerges from pain is not superficial. It is grounded in experience and understanding. It carries depth, compassion, and resilience. Pain is often the birthplace of purpose because it pushes us beyond who we were and toward who we are meant to become. Challenges us to find meaning in difficulty and to transform suffering into service. Though pain is never easy, it has the potential to shape a purpose that is authentic, impactful, and enduring. Survival itself is proof of inner power. It may not feel like strength when you are in the middle of a storm, when days blur together under the weight of hardship. Every step forward seems like a monumental effort. Yet the simple fact that you have continued breathing, moving, showing up, and refusing to give in is a demonstration of an inner force that cannot be measured by outward circumstances. Many people search for evidence of power in accolades, achievements, or recognition. Survival is the purest and most undeniable evidence of strength because it requires nothing less than the refusal to surrender when surrender would be easier. Life often does not prepare us for the magnitude of the challenges we face. Loss, betrayal, disappointment, and unexpected crises can appear suddenly, shaking our foundations and testing the limits of our resilience. In such moments, survival is not a choice for some. It is a daily decision to persist despite exhaustion, despair, or fear, to wake up another day, to take one more step. Keep believing in the possibility of tomorrow is a radical act of courage. The act of survival proves that power is not always loud. Sometimes it is quiet, stubborn, and relentless. Survival is proof of inner power because it demonstrates endurance. Endurance is the capacity to withstand difficulty over time, to face obstacles repeatedly without breaking, and to continue even when progress seems invisible. People often mistake ease and comfort for strength because they are visible and socially recognized, but endurance is invisible. It happens in private, in the moments when no one is watching, and yet it is where true strength is cultivated. Every challenge endured is another layer of power being built within, testimony to the resilience of spirit. Moreover, survival reveals adaptability. When life's conditions shift unexpectedly, we are forced to adjust. Plans collapse, people disappoint, and the familiar becomes unfamiliar. Survival requires flexibility of mind, creativity of response, willingness to confront what we cannot control. Inner power is not rigidity. It is the ability to bend without breaking, to navigate uncertainty without losing sight of who we are, and to keep moving forward despite discomfort. Those who survive demonstrate this kind of adaptive strength naturally because circumstances have required them to develop it. Survival also reflects emotional and mental fortitude. The mind can be the battlefield where strength is most profoundly tested. Self-doubt, fear, despair often rise in times of difficulty, tempting us to give in. To survive is to rise above these internal pressures, to maintain hope and focus even when emotions scream for surrender. This fortitude is cultivated quietly, internally, and often unnoticed. It is an inner power that grows not from external victories, but from the discipline of managing thoughts, emotions, and choices under pressure. Another dimension of survival is its role in shaping character. Surviving hardship changes us. It teaches humility, patience, and empathy. It forces self-reflection, exposing flaws and weaknesses that require attention. It also highlights strengths we may not have recognized in ourselves. Character forged through survival is not theoretical. It is tested, proven, and enduring. Unlike superficial strength, which can collapse under pressure, character revealed through survival is real, and it underpins long-term resilience and influence. Survival is often a silent teacher. Many who have survived cannot point to a single moment that defines their journey. Instead, It is the accumulation of small acts, getting out of bed despite despair, continuing to work despite fatigue, speaking words of encouragement even when hope is scarce, that forms the proof of power. These small, repeated acts are evidence of a spirit that refuses to be defeated. Inner power is not always demonstrated in grand gestures. It is often revealed in the quiet consistency of simply enduring. Furthermore, survival illuminates purpose. When life becomes overwhelming, survival is the bridge between despair and meaning. Those who persist discover that their experiences, painful though they may be, carry lessons, insights, opportunities to grow. Surviving the storm often brings clarity about what truly matters, what must be protected, how one's life can be directed toward impact. Inner power, revealed through survival, equips a person to transform past struggles into tools for future success, service, and leadership. Survival also strengthens faith in oneself. Every day that we endure difficult circumstances without succumbing to fear or despair becomes proof that we are capable of more than we imagined. The inner power cultivated through survival is confidence born not from certainty, but from experience. When someone has endured significant trials and kept moving forward, they no longer need external validation to affirm their strength. They have lived it. They have survived, and survival itself is the ultimate witness. There is also a spiritual dimension to survival as proof of inner power. Many find that in moments of extreme difficulty, they discover reserves of courage, faith, and hope that they did not know existed. Survival forces us to connect with something beyond ourselves, whether it is belief, purpose, or a sense of destiny. The fact that we continue to persevere through what seems unbearable is evidence that inner power often transcends physical or emotional limitations. It is strength born of necessity and guided by resilience. Finally, survival demonstrates the capacity for growth. Inner power is not static. It expands when challenged. The more we survive, the more equipped we become to face future trials. Each obstacle navigated becomes part of a foundation upon which further strength is built. Survival is proof that power is not measured by comfort or by unchallenged success, but by the ability to remain standing when the world pushes against you. Those who survive learn that they are capable of far more than they once imagined, and this realization empowers them to act boldly, think courageously, and live fully. In essence, survival itself is proof of inner power because it embodies resilience, adaptability, fortitude, and growth. It is the silent testament of a spirit that refuses to give in despite external circumstances. While the world may celebrate visible achievements, the strength required to endure unseen struggles is often far greater. Every person who has faced hardship and kept moving forward carries an undeniable proof of inner power within them. Survival is more than merely existing. It is the active, conscious demonstration of courage, persistence, and the refusal to surrender, a proof of strength that ease and comfort alone could never produce. Being broken doesn't mean being defeated. Life has a way of knocking us off our feet, of stripping away our sense of control, and of exposing our vulnerabilities in ways we never anticipated. At times, can feel as though everything that once defined us, our confidence, our plans, our relationships, our sense of purpose, has been shattered. And in these moments, it is easy to believe that being broken is synonymous with failure, that the cracks in our lives are signs that we are no longer capable, that we are somehow less than we were before. But being broken is not defeat. Being broken is evidence that life has tested you, and that even in fragments, there is an opportunity for growth, reconstruction, and transformation. Being broken is a state of raw honesty. It exposes the parts of ourselves that we often try to hide, our fears, our doubts, our insecurities, and our unmet needs. In comfort and success, these things can be easily masked. We can put on appearances, maintain illusions, and function without acknowledging the cracks inside. When life breaks us, the disguise falls away. We are forced to confront reality, not a curated version of ourselves, but the truth of who we are, what we have endured, what still needs healing. This confrontation is not defeat. It is the first step toward authentic strength. One of the most important lessons of being broken is that it cultivates humility. When we are confronted with our limitations, we are reminded that we cannot do everything on our own. We need support, guidance, and connection. Being broken forces us to release pride and accept help. which is not a sign of weakness, but a demonstration of courage. True strength often emerges in the willingness to be vulnerable, to admit that we are not invincible, and to trust that even in our brokenness we can be restored. Being broken also sharpens resilience. Resilience is not the absence of struggle, it is the ability to persist and adapt despite it. Every broken moment carries a lesson in endurance. Every loss, disappointment, or betrayal challenges us to rise again. And in that rising, strength is built. Being broken teaches us that survival is not about perfection, about persistence. The cracks in our lives, far from being signs of defeat, are reminders that we are still here, still standing, still breathing, still moving forward. Being broken can also illuminate purpose. Sometimes the most profound clarity comes not from moments of triumph, from the depths of struggle. When life fractures us, we are compelled to ask hard questions. Who am I without my titles, my achievements, my security? Truly matters. What do I want my life to stand for? These questions, often uncomfortable, are catalysts for transformation. Brokenness creates space for new understanding, for deeper self-awareness, and for a clearer sense of direction. It is in these spaces that purpose often emerges, stronger and more grounded than it could have in times of ease. Pain and loss are inseparable from being broken, yet they are not indicators of defeat. Pain is a teacher revealing the boundaries of our strength and challenging us to stretch beyond them. Loss removes what we once relied on, but it also creates space for new growth, new relationships, and new opportunities. Each experience of being broken refines character, sharpens wisdom, and deepens empathy. Those who have been broken often develop a level of compassion and understanding that those who have never faced hardship cannot fully grasp. Brokenness becomes a foundation for empathy, a bridge between personal struggle and the capacity to connect with others meaningfully. Being broken does not mean losing the ability to dream or to achieve. In fact, some of the greatest accomplishments arise from the ashes of brokenness. When we are broken, we are forced to reevaluate, to rebuild, and to approach life with greater intentionality. We learn to distinguish what is essential from what is superficial. We are guided to focus our energy on what truly matters, to channel our resources wisely, to pursue goals that align with our deeper values. In this sense, brokenness is not a limitation. It is an opportunity to reconstruct life on a stronger, wiser foundation. Being broken also teaches patience. Healing, growth, and restoration are rarely instantaneous. They require time, reflection, persistent effort. When we are broken, we learn that transformation is a process, not an event. We cultivate endurance, learning to navigate uncertainty and discomfort without losing faith. This patience, born of brokenness, becomes a lifelong resource, allowing us to face future challenges with steadiness and perspective. In other words, brokenness is a teacher of perseverance. Perseverance is a cornerstone of strength. Another critical aspect of brokenness is the reminder that identity is not defined by circumstances. Life can take away possessions, positions, relationships, and comforts, but it cannot take away the essence of who we are. Being broken strips away external validations and exposes the core of our being. It challenges us to anchor self-worth in something internal, resilience, values, integrity, and purpose, rather than in what can be lost or broken externally. This realization is profoundly empowering and demonstrates that being broken does not equate to defeat. Being broken also encourages creativity and problem solving. When the familiar structures of life collapse, we are forced to adapt. New solutions, new strategies, new ways of thinking often emerge from brokenness. It stimulates ingenuity, resourcefulness, and the ability to find opportunity in adversity. Those who have been broken develop skills, insights, and perspectives that are unique because they were forged in the crucible of challenge. Finally, being broken offers a unique form of liberation. When we accept that brokenness is not defeat, we release the pressure to appear perfect or unshakable. We embrace vulnerability as a source of authenticity. We discover that strength is not the absence of weakness, but the willingness to continue in spite of it. Brokenness can become a badge of honor, a testament to the human spirit's capacity to endure, adapt, and flourish. Being broken doesn't mean being defeated. It means you are alive, you are learning, and you are growing. It means you have faced challenges, acknowledged your wounds, and chosen to keep moving forward. Being broken is not the end. It is part of the journey toward wholeness, strength, and purpose. Every crack, every scar, every difficult moment is proof of resilience, courage, and potential. Brokenness, when embraced and understood, is not a limitation. It is a source of profound transformation. Those who recognize this truth do not see themselves as victims of circumstance, as architects of their own recovery, and as carriers of strength that only emerges from the depths of life's trials. If life is hard, it's because you are built to handle it. This is not a platitude, a simple motivational quote, or a comforting idea meant to make the pain more palatable. It is a profound truth about the human experience, the challenges, the pressure, the losses, the unexpected storms that life places in your path are not there to punish you, but to reveal the strength, resilience, and capacity that already exists within you. Every difficulty, every setback, every moment that tests your limits is a reminder that you were designed to endure more than you think, to adapt more than you realize, to rise stronger than you imagine. Life does not hand out ease to build character. Comfort does not force introspection, resilience, or resourcefulness. It allows us to coast, to exist in patterns that require little growth. Hardship is different. It is an environment that challenges your limits and demands that you discover who you truly are. When life becomes hard, it asks questions. How much can you endure? How deeply do you believe in yourself? How far are you willing to go even when the path seems impossible? Very fact that you are facing these challenges is proof that you have the capacity to meet them, to survive, and ultimately to thrive. One of the most important realities about facing hard seasons is that they develop hidden reserves within you. Often, we are unaware of how strong we are until we are pushed to the edge. Pressure reveals the hidden corners of your courage, patience, and determination. Pain forces you to confront truths about yourself that comfort would have kept hidden. Loss teaches adaptability and resilience. Isolation develops self-reliance. Each difficulty acts as a catalyst, awakening the inner power that already exists but has never been tested. If life feels hard, it is because your inner strength is being called into action, because you are being trained, refined, and prepared for a future that requires more of you than comfort ever would. Hardship also exposes your priorities. When life is easy, it is tempting to focus on superficial goals or to chase approval and recognition. Hard times strip away distractions. They force you to pay attention to what truly matters. They reveal your values, your purpose, and your capacity for endurance. This clarity is one of the hidden gifts of difficulty. It separates what is essential from what is trivial, what aligns with your mission from what does not. The very fact that you are being tested is a sign that you are capable of carrying something significant, that life recognizes potential within you to rise above mediocrity. Another reason life is hard is that you are being prepared for responsibilities and opportunities that require resilience. Strength that is never tested often fails when it is most needed. Comfort can only take you so far. It can never cultivate the mental fortitude, emotional depth, strategic wisdom necessary for life's real challenges. Hard seasons teach you to withstand setbacks, to navigate uncertainty, and to make decisions under pressure. They cultivate the courage to continue when motivation wanes and the patience to endure when progress is slow. Every difficulty you face is shaping you into someone capable of handling greater responsibility than you could imagine. Facing life's hardships also develops self-confidence in a unique way. Confidence born from easy victories is fragile because it depends on favorable conditions. True confidence emerges from the realization that you can survive adversity, that you can persist even when hope feels distant, and that you can endure more than you thought possible. Every trial you navigate is proof that you have what it takes to handle challenges that would have seemed insurmountable at the start. If life is hard, it is because you are learning, often without realizing it, just how much strength you truly possess. Hardship also teaches perspective. When life pushes us to our limits, we gain insight into what is temporary and what is permanent, what we can control and what we cannot. These experiences remind us that difficulties do not define us. Our response to them does. They teach us that patience, persistence, and faith are far more valuable than immediate results or superficial comforts. Life's hardest seasons often produce the deepest wisdom because they force reflection, encourage growth, and demand intentional action. You were built to navigate this process, even if it feels uncomfortable or unfair at the moment. Pain and struggle also foster resilience that others often do not understand. Those who face challenges develop problem-solving skills, creativity, and adaptability that are forged only in fire. They learn to endure without giving up, to strategize when options seem limited, and to maintain hope in uncertainty. This kind of resilience cannot be taught. It must be lived. The fact that life has placed obstacles in your path is evidence that you have the inner capacity to overcome them, to emerge stronger, to utilize the lessons gained for future growth. Moreover, hard times reveal character. Comfort can mask weakness, fear, or immaturity, but pressure unmasks the truth. It shows whether your perseverance is authentic, whether your values are internalized, whether your convictions hold under scrutiny. Every challenge is a test, not a punishment, but a revelation. Your ability to endure, adapt, continues proof that your character is capable of withstanding the storms life throws your way. You were built for this, not by chance, because every challenge serves as an opportunity to awaken and strengthen what is already within you. Hardship also builds empathy and compassion. Those who face difficulties often develop the ability to understand and support others in their struggles. Inner power is not only measured by personal resilience, but also by the capacity to lift others, to inspire, and to lead through experience. Life is hard because it is preparing you to not only survive, but also to serve, to guide, and to contribute in ways that only someone who has endured can. Finally, it is crucial to understand that being built to handle life's difficulties does not mean the absence of struggle or doubt. You will falter. You will experience fear. You will question your ability to continue. These moments are part of the process. Inner power is not revealed by the absence of adversity, but by the decision to persist through it. Every tear, every setback, every moment of doubt is a step toward realizing the immense capacity you already possess. If life is hard, it is not an accident. It is a signal that you are stronger than you realize, that you were designed for endurance. The challenges you face are preparing you for a future that requires strength, wisdom, and resilience. Every obstacle, every struggle, every hardship is evidence of your capacity to rise, adapt, and thrive. Life may be difficult, but you were built to handle it. And within that truth lies the power to keep moving forward no matter what comes your way.